Let me ask you something. What if somebody walked up to you today, looked you dead in the eyes, and said, everything you see around you right now is going to be gone soon? You'd back away slowly, maybe call someone. But what if 10, 20, even 100 years later, everything they predicted happened? Exactly, as described. Not one prophecy, not two. 5 separate nations, each given a specific death sentence. And history would go on to confirm every single one. That's not fiction. That's Zephaniah. And by the end of this video, you're going to want to know, did all 5 come true, or did at least one of them slip through? And today, we're cracking open the most underrated book in the entire Bible. You'll definitely learn something here. These are the types of content I create. If you're interested, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss upcoming videos. Here's something wild. Ask 10 Christians to name 5 prophets. You'll hear Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, maybe even Habakkuk if they're feeling fancy. Zephaniah? Skipped in Sunday school. Almost completely ignored. If he's that obscure, how does a guy nobody studies end up picturing the end of the world? His words became the foundation of how every major civilization after him imagined the end of the world. Mozart built his Requiem from it. Medieval artists carved his prophecy into cathedral walls across Europe. But here's where it gets even stranger. This wasn't some random outsider. Let's find out who he actually was. Who exactly was this man? Zephaniah wasn't some wild-eyed outsider shouting from a hillside. His genealogy is 4 generations deep. Son of Cushi, son of Gedaliah, son of Amariah, son of Hezekiah. No other prophet in Scripture gets that level of family detail. None. So why would a book this short bother listing 4 generations of ancestors? Zephaniah was probably a literal prince with a prophetic gig. It's not 100% proven, but when your Bible bio traces you back 4 generations to a king, that's suspicious. If he weren't royalty, the Bible would have just said, Zephaniah, son of Cushi, period. So Zephaniah wasn't just a prophet. He was a royal insider with a prophetic side hustle. He knew the palace hallways. He'd shared meals with the very officials he was about to expose. Picture this, a prince with a prophetic calling, walking into a room full of corrupt nobles, people he grew up with, and looking them straight in the face saying, God is done with all of you. That takes a different kind of courage entirely, but here's nobody talks about. If you think that's the most surprising thing about his identity, check this. His father's name was Cushi, meaning Ethiopian or of African descent. Some scholars believe Zephaniah may have had African heritage. Whether or not that's conclusive, that's who he was. There are those who believe in every whisper, and there are those who don't seem to bother much. The question is, what can we gain from this? His name means the Lord protects, but he spent his entire ministry warning everyone that protection is over. What? Let's go back. The world he walked into. The year is approximately 630 BC. Judah was a vassal state under Assyrian rule, paying tribute and controlled by Assyria. Assyria remained dominant, but was beginning to decline as Babylon rose. King Josiah, one of Judah's good kings, sits on the throne. Things should be improving. But before Josiah, the nation had suffered through 57 years of Manasseh and Ammon, 2 of the wickedest rulers in Judah's entire history. Child sacrifice, Baal worship, occult practices, all of it is government approved. Zephaniah grew up in that shadow, and now, even with Josiah attempting reforms, the spiritual rot ran so deep it couldn't simply be painted over. Here's the part that should worry you. A good king is on the throne, reforms are already underway, so why does Zephaniah show up acting like none of it matters? He looked at all of it. The empire, the palace, the priests, the merchants, and said, it's finished. 1 prophet, 5 targets. Let's start with the one that sounded the most insane. Assyria, the great empire. It dominated the entire known world, and Judah was under Assyrian influence. Think of every superpower in history rolled into one. That's Assyria. Their capital, Nineveh, was the greatest city on earth, untouchable, permanent, or so everyone assumed. The superpower capital, the city that seemed untouchable, eternal, and invincible. If you had to bet on one nation lasting forever, it's Assyria. But Zephaniah, he prophesied, and this one stopped everyone cold. The Lord will destroy Assyria and make Nineveh a deserted, waterless ruin. Animals will lie there, owls will hoot from its windows, and crows will caw on the doorsteps. The cedar wood will be stripped away. The city that thought itself safe and greatest in the world will become a desolate place where wild animals rest. Everyone who passes by will shrink back in horror. People would have laughed. Predicting Nineveh's fall was like predicting New York City will become a barren wasteland next Tuesday. Absurd, impossible, embarrassing even to suggest. Watch what happens to it. Nineveh fell in 612 BC, about 20 to 23 years after Zephaniah's prophecy, completely obliterated by the Babylonians and the Medes. So thoroughly destroyed that about 280 years later, or in 612 BC, Alexander the Great's army walked over Nineveh's ruins without realizing they were standing on the old capital of the Assyrian Empire. Today, archaeologists have excavated those ruins near Mosul, Iraq. Zephaniah called it decades before it happened. One down. But Nineveh wasn't even the main target. Zephaniah wasn't finished, not even close. The four other nations, and the one closest to home. Here's where most people stopped paying attention. They assumed the prophecy was just about Assyria. It wasn't. 4 more verdicts were coming, and one of them was aimed at Zephaniah's own people. Philistia, covering Gaza, Ashkelon, Ashdod, and Ekron. Once teeming with life, it is now silent, becoming open fields. Stripped of its people, its towers crumbling into dust, its doors hanging open, deserted, humbled. The gates are broken, the walls stand, but the city is hollow. The birds have taken over. Surviving Judahites will take over their territory. This was fulfilled around 604 BC, about 31 to 36 years after the prophecy. Moab and Ammon, because they mocked Israel and boasted about seizing their land, God will destroy them like Sodom and Gomorrah, turning them into salt pits and everlasting ruin, overgrown with weeds. Because of pride, arrogance, insult, the punishment is merciless, the Lord will terrify them. Surviving Judahites will plunder and take their land. Fulfilled around 604 to 582 BC, 31 to 43 years later, this next part changed everything for me. Notice the pattern forming? Mockery, arrogance, comfort. Every nation falls for the same reason. Now, what happens when Zephaniah turns that same lens on his own city? Judah and Jerusalem. God will judge Jerusalem and Judah for idolatry, hypocrisy, and pride. He will destroy Baal worship, punish false worshippers, corrupt officials, and wealthy people who think God does nothing, and take away their wealth and houses. The officials in foreign clothes, the rooftop worshippers, the marketplace merchants, and then he identifies the most dangerous group of all, not the murderers, not the idol worshippers, the comfortable ones, those who sit complacently in their sins, those who settle down comfortably, those who are self-satisfied with their hardened lifestyle. Zephaniah calls them out directly. At that time, I will search through Jerusalem with lamps. I will punish the people who are entrenched in their sin, those who think to themselves, the Lord neither rewards nor punishes. That's not rebellion. That's something far more dangerous, indifference, still attending worship, still using God's name, but privately convinced that none of it actually matters. Sound like anyone you know? Sound like anyone you are? This was continuing punishment for generations of wickedness under Manasseh and Amon, even though Josiah had begun reforms. The people's hearts remained unchanged, so judgment still came. In 586 BC, 35 to 49 years after the prophecy, Babylon, led by King Nebuchadnezzar, conquered Judah, destroyed Jerusalem and the temple, and exiled all the people to Babylon. Ethiopia, Cush. Far in the south, the Lord's wrath reaches the Cushites, and he will put them to death. Fulfilled around 670 to 525 BC, 65 to 110 years later. The message is clear. Pride, arrogance, and insulting God's people will be punished. God will destroy all these nations and reduce earthly gods to nothing. 4 nations down, judgment confirmed on the map in the archaeology, but Zephaniah isn't done. And his next vision isn't regional anymore. It's everything. Total destruction. God will destroy everything on earth, humans, animals, birds, fish, and the wicked will face his fury. The day of the Lord is coming fast, a day of darkness, ruin, and destruction. No one will survive, and even silver and gold cannot save anyone from God's anger. The whole earth will be consumed by fire. This is what scholars call a cosmic uncreation oracle. Genesis in reverse. Everything created, gone. God hitting the undo button on creation itself. So if judgment is this total, this certain, there's only one move left for anyone who wants to survive it. Reform, right? Fix the nation. And it should have worked. Josiah, probably inspired by Zephaniah's warnings, launched the most dramatic religious reform in Judah's history. Smashed the pagan altars, restored the temple, brought back Passover celebrations that hadn't happened in generations. Did everything right. If anyone deserved a different ending, it was him. Guess what happened? And this is the tragic irony that hits hardest and the most uncomfortable part. Judgment still came. In 586 BC, Jerusalem burned to the ground. The temple reduced to ash. The people marched to Babylon in chains. That isn't a contradiction because the reform only changed things on the surface. What's the point of reform if the collapse happens anyway? Reform without genuine heart change is just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Josiah fixed the external system, but the people's hearts stayed the same. The moment Josiah died, they reverted completely. Cleaning up your life on the outside while the inside stays untouched doesn't fool anyone, least of all God. Which leaves one final loop still wide open. 5 nations destroyed, a reform that failed anyway. So where, in any of this, is there a single reason left to hope? Zephaniah's book is beautiful, but it's beautiful the way a thunderstorm is beautiful. Awe-inspiring, clarifying, impossible to ignore. His message across 3 chapters is devastatingly simple. The most dangerous place to be isn't openly sinful. It's spiritually comfortable and completely unbothered, not seeking the Lord. And the most surprising truth in this entire book, God's greatest joy isn't in the judgment, it's in the restoration. Open your mind and further enrich your understanding of well-researched knowledge, the foundation of true wisdom. Remember, it's essential to select content that offers something of value. I'll leave you with this. Seek the Lord, all you humble people of the land who do what he commands. Seek righteousness. Seek humility. Maybe you will be protected in the day of the Lord's anger. Zephaniah's warning about people who believed the Lord will do nothing. That attitude of self-sufficiency and comfort is more dangerous than openly sinning. How can you warn them if they are sinning, complacent, and hiding? Zephaniah wasn't warning people about their sins. He was warning them about their silence and comfort. The question for you today is simple. Are you seeking, or are you just comfortable? If this hit differently than you expected, share it. Someone in your life needs to hear Zephaniah today.